Hey y'all, and welcome back. Welcome if you're new. My name is Tiffany. This is our small town life, and this is our small town homestead. Today we're going to do our first garden tour of the season, the first garden tour of this year, and I'm so excited about it. This is one of my favorite ones to do. I started to say my favorite, but I do love the garden tours where everything is growing and lush and green and producing, and I can show that to you. But this is right up there, y'all, and I'll tell you why. I love to be able to show this to you from the start, and I enjoy being able to go back and look at this and see how things have changed, because y'all, it's going to start changing so quickly. In the matter of weeks, these spaces are going to look so different. So if you're here now, you're here from the start, you get to watch all of that happen. And this will be that video that we go back and look at and say, wow, look how much things have changed. All right, so if you're new, or maybe you've just not heard me explain how our garden spaces are laid out and what kind of garden spaces we have, let me tell you about that. And then we'll walk around and take a look at everything and kind of show you what's going on already and talk about what our plans are. My husband Justin and I and our 5 children, we live on a 1-acre homestead in North Alabama. We are zone 7B, and we have garden spaces, animals, composting, all kinds of things going on right here on our 1 acre, and we share all of that with you and show you how we do those things. And so I'm going to show you what we call our small garden space, although I suppose it's not incredibly small. It grows a lot of food for us, and you can garden and you can grow food in small spaces, y'all. We also have some raised bed things going on. We have a melon patch that I'm going to show you. And all of that is right here on our 1 acre. Now, we do live next door to my mom and my stepdad. And on the other side of their home, we have a large, what we call our big garden. It is a almost 1 acre garden. And we grow that food to eat fresh as well as preserve for our family throughout the year. And so through these garden tours, you'll get to see all of those spaces and all of the different ways that we grow food around here. One of my biggest goals is to encourage you to grow what you can where you can. And by showing you all of these different ways that we grow things, the way we grow things in larger spaces, the way we grow things in smaller spaces, different methods and things that we do, my hope is to show you and to encourage you to be able to take that step to growing some of your own food, no matter what scale that is, no matter what that looks like for you, because it doesn't have to look the same for everyone. And I want to share with you what we're doing and encourage you along the way. So to get started, we're going to go up to the little raised bed area that we've got going on, and then we'll move our way back to the small garden, to our melon patch, and then work our way around over to where the fruit trees are and where the big garden is. Oh, this is so exciting. I feel like we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting to start garden season and garden tours, and we're here. So in case you're new, we live in a double-wide mobile home here on our 1 acre homestead, and this was completely raw land before we moved here. There was a lot of work, and still is a lot of work to be done. This walkway, we've just done this over the last few weeks, and this right here kind of looks like weeds growing right now, but we're trying wildflowers out in this spot to hopefully encourage some pollinators to come around. We're doing wildflowers in a few different areas, so before long, maybe this will look less like just a bunch of little green weeds and will instead look like beautiful wildflowers. I spy a few sunflowers. Now, I have done several different things in these beds right here. This year, we're going to turn this into a herb garden that's going to be right outside of the kitchen. So our back porch is right here. This is right off the back porch, and our dining room and kitchen walks out onto that back porch. So far we've got some dill, rosemary, and peppermint, because we love taking peppermint and like blackberry and mixing it in lemonade. So we've got some mint, some peppermint. I have to come back and add some extra compost to these other boxes, and then we'll plant them with some herbs as well. Okay, y'all, this is where I get real excited because hopefully I will be standing here in just a matter of weeks and this spot will look so different behind me. We do a lot of in-ground gardening. You're going to notice that. We do have the few raised beds, and over time I want to add more raised beds, but in-ground gardening is what we do the most of. It's what I've grown up around. It's what Justin mostly grew up around. And what most people, I would say, in our area do is in-ground gardening. Like I mentioned, we've only been here for a short amount of time, and so we are still really working on this soil, but I feel like we're really getting somewhere with it, and we're gonna keep working on it. I'm gonna show you and talk to you about what we've planted and what we should get to see growing here. Y'all have already, if you've been around here, you've already got to see me working on some of these things and putting some of these things in the ground, like our garlic. Now, we did originally plant all of this in garlic, but we had a really hard frost, weather that's not normal for our area. Just, I think the coldest it had been in probably 30 years, and it knocked out a lot of my garlic. This section recovered and the rest did not. So what we did is we put onions to finish out this area. And I came through and topped these onions probably about a week ago and made some onion powder out of it. I have a video showing that, but it's already growing again and thriving, and I'm really happy with it. These are our potatoes, and we have healed them pretty well, and they are growing and look just absolutely beautiful. Potatoes are one of those things where you don't know what you're going to get until you go to harvest and you start pulling things up out of the ground like hidden treasure. And so, you know, I guess we'll see. Stick around. But right now they look good. It'll be a surprise when it comes time to harvest, though. We have planted Yukon Gold. That's this first section. And they will technically be ready before the others. The others are some russet style and some red potatoes. We may just wait and harvest them all at the same time, or we may harvest the Yukon Gold earlier. We'll just kind of have to keep a check on it as we get closer to time. These are all tomatoes that I bought as plants. I have started some tomatoes from seeds, and those will go over in the big garden. They're not quite ready to go in the ground yet. I'll let you have a little peek at them. They still need just a little while, but the ones that we planted here, we bought as plant starts, and I'll talk to you about what we've planted right here. These are Rapunzel tomatoes, and they should grow. I've left these here right now just until I get a good sense of what I've planted where and remember what I've planted where. They grow on these long sets. Isn't that beautiful? Audrey loves cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes, so I was thinking about that for her. And y'all, I have been pinching off blooms on my indeterminate tomatoes to try to help them focus more on growing taller and less on producing fruit right now. So these, you're going to see some blooms on them, but I've been taking blooms off so that it can focus energy somewhere else. I've done this once already, but I need to do it again. It's time to come and prune off these pieces down here so that the tomato will grow up, and it kind of reduces your chance for disease and things, because these that are real close to the ground are going to get a lot of splashback when it rains or when it's watered. And so I do, on my indeterminate plants, trim this off down here. These two are lemon boys, and they became one of my favorites last year. And then I have homestead tomatoes and Cherokee purple tomatoes right here finishing off this row. I did have one homestead that got broken. I don't know if a chicken did it, a kid did it, and I replaced it with a better boy. I know I'm not here to give you a class on tomatoes right now, a lesson on tomatoes, but because I have mentioned determinate and indeterminate, let me briefly explain. A determinate tomato has a set amount of fruit that it's going to give you, a set height it's going to get, a set amount of fruit, and if you cut branches off, you prune it, you take blooms off, it's not going to keep producing more later on, you're taking away from what it's set to give you. So I typically don't do that. Where with an indeterminate tomato plant, it's going to just keep growing and keep growing and keep giving you fruit, and it never has an end set other than if disease gets it, frost gets it, something like that. So an indeterminate plant, you can trim and you can prune and you can remove those blooms until it gets a good size, because it's going to just keep giving you. It doesn't have a set amount of fruit to give you, where if you take those blooms from a determined plant, you're taking away from what you would get. Look at our snap peas. They are doing really well, and I actually came in and planted some extras in spots that were a little bare. Maybe I had some that didn't germinate the first time, or something like that, or I skipped some spots without realizing it, spaced a little out more than I intended, and they are doing really well. We put up this netting. This is the first time I've ever used this, so I'm anxious to see how they do with it, but they're starting to grab onto it. Now, it does get really hot really fast here in Alabama, and so these snap peas will not be able to last here all summer, that's for sure. But we are going to do our best. We've placed them in a spot where they should stay pretty cool, at least for a little while, and hopefully they will grow and give us some snap peas before it's time to remove these and plant something else here. But right now they're doing really well. Y'all, I don't know if I could be any more excited than I am about this little bitty plant right here. And there's some right here as well. Those should be cucamelon. And I tried last year to grow cucamelon and it did not go well. That is something new that I'm trying to learn how to grow. And so I'm babying those little bitty tiny plants in hopes that we will have some cucamelons. Stick around, we'll see. There's some other cucumbers growing over here on this side, and I believe these are Ashley cucumbers. Coming over here to this edge, these are some bush beans, and there's some spots where they didn't germinate, or chickens got them, or something, so I came back and filled those in. But we do have some that you can already see. And then the next row is bush peas. The same thing kind of happened with these. There were some spots where they didn't germinate or something happened, and so I came back and replanted in those bare spots. Y'all know my love for radishes, and so we have some scarlet globe radishes, and then right over here we have some watermelon radishes. And I planted the first set and I left some space in them so that I could come back and plant some more. That way they're not all ready to harvest at the same time. So these are the ones that have been here for a little while, and then you can see these are some of the new ones that are coming up. Radishes are probably one of my favorite things, if not my favorite thing to grow. The 2 rows of radishes that come about halfway down the garden bed, and then the other half I have squash in those same rows. So I have what will be Georgia candy roaster squash, and this is the first time that I have ever grown that, but I heard a lot of people talking about it, and so I wanted to try that out. I have a few of those plants. And then this here, I cannot remember, it's a yellow squash. I can't remember if we did crook neck or straight neck right here, but it's a yellow summer squash. I also wanted to mention that this garden space here has been my learning ground for organic gardening. Learning what companion plants go good together for pest control, different ways to use compost and organic fertilizer, and just really trying to hone in my skills for organic gardening in this space. It's been my experiment, my baby, if you will, for organic gardening. And I'm really hoping that it rains today. It is supposed to. These garden spaces, they're needing a good watering, so hopefully they'll get some rain today. Let's walk back here and look at the melon patch. This is another one of those spaces that it's like, can we do a before and after? Like, this is where we are now. Let me show you where we are in a few weeks, and better yet, in just a couple of months. But this will be our melon patch, and it's right here at the fence line. It comes all the way up to the fence line. This is my 13-year-old's creative spot right here. She has something going on where she is working on growing some cucumbers and flowers and things right here. In this area we have, towards this end closer to me, a couple of different varieties of cantaloupes, or of that style melon, and then a couple of varieties of watermelon toward the end, an orange and a red. And we have flagged every single place that we planted just until we start seeing things come up. That way we can kind of have a good eye of where we need to be watching for germination and those kinds of things. On the fence line, we planted wildflowers and sunflowers. And we also are trying out some sweet potatoes back here to see how that goes for us. And then this is one of those things that will take a little while to really see some change, but we have some ginger and some turmeric planted back here as well, so that hopefully it can get really established in this area. And we'll keep walking by the fence line and we'll come around here to our big garden. It's so nice out here today, y'all. The weather is beautiful. Like I said, hopefully it'll rain here in a little while, but it's kind of that calm before the storm, if you will. I don't know that it's supposed to storm. I think it's just supposed to give us some rain, but you can kind of feel rain in the air, but it's warm and peaceful. You hear the birds singing. Look at how beautiful this pasture back here is. Like, it's just gorgeous out here. This time of year, I love it. I love this time of year. Everything has been resting during the winter, but it's starting to come back to life, and it's so beautiful. This space here has squash planted in it. It's going to be its own squash patch, and it is just right off of the big garden. There's some berry bushes planted out here, blackberries, blueberries, a couple of fig trees that we planted, and then this right here, these pallets are going to become our little strawberry bed. We're going to get them filled and the strawberries planted in those. We do have some fruit trees back here, and the ladybugs, y'all, have found them and are loving them. Stepdad's coming home. You hear the big truck? And this is our big garden area. It's a blank slate right now, but let me tell you about our plans and what we have envisioned for this area. My stepdad David, he's been out here doing a lot of work getting this area ready. The whole front half will be corn. We love corn. We love eating corn fresh, preserving corn, and so that's what the whole front side of this will be, as well as probably our long row of tomatoes and peppers. We'll be doing a lot of preserving with tomatoes and peppers. I like to can tomatoes whole. We like to make salsa that will use our tomatoes and our peppers. We do pepper sauce, we do hot sauce, cowboy candy. So lots of good things will come out of the peppers and the tomatoes that we grow here. We will plant cucumbers here as well for fresh and for pickles. We're going to try out some cattle panel trellising for our cucumbers this year. And then we'll also have radishes here, because why not? Why not more radishes? We still have a little bit of work to do. This is where we had some pole beans last year. We still have to get that area cleaned up, but I wanted to kind of share with you some of the things that we were thinking and planning for this area and envisioning for this area and what it will become. A garden is one of those spaces that I can look at this blank slate and I can imagine so many different ways it could be laid out, so many different ways we could companion plant, so many different things that we could do to add beauty to this space. And just, I can sit here and marvel in what God will help us create out of this. And it does my heart good. This is my favorite season, y'all. Spring gardening season. Thank y'all for spending some time with me today and letting me share with you what we've got going on and what our plans are. I hope you all are just as excited as I am about your gardening season and about seeing what ours will become. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.